right, so today we're diving deep, really deep into Taoism.
Oh, yeah.
Specifically, chapter 15 of the Dao De Jing.
Nice.
And, to add some extra wisdom, some layers,
Yes.
we're going to be pulling into the teachings of Tao Master Chu Meng Fu.
Excellent.
If you are looking for a little ancient wisdom to navigate our modern world,
Our modern chaos.
you have come to the right place.
Absolutely. And what's fascinating about Taoism, it's not just a philosophy, it's a way of life, understanding the Tao, this universal flow of energy,
Right.
and aligning ourselves with it.
Yeah.
Chapter 15 gets to the core of that.
Okay, so Laozi, he kicks things off by describing these ancient masters,
Yes.
the sages,
Mm-hmm.
as having this subtle and exquisite penetration.
Right.
What exactly does that even mean?
So he's talking about a kind of inner knowing,
All right.
that goes beyond book smarts. It's not about accumulating facts.
Right.
It's about cultivating a deep intuition, a gut feeling that guides you.
So it's less about what you know, more about how you sense the world.
Yes, exactly.
That's really interesting.
Yeah.
And then, he uses this really vivid image.
Yes.
The sage is like someone carefully walking on thin ice,
Hmm.
hesitant and super aware of everything around them.
I love that image. It's such a powerful contrast
Right.
to the just do it mentality
Yeah.
that we see so much today.
Yeah.
So the Fulgist approach is all about careful consideration, respecting the complexities of life,
Yeah.
understanding that every step has consequences.
It makes you think, in what areas of your own life could you benefit from a little more of that walking on thin ice awareness?
I think that's a great question. Maybe decision-making,
Yeah.
relationships, or even just how you approach your day.
Totally.
Yeah, it's a reminder to slow down, pay attention, and tread carefully.
Yeah.
And this cautiousness, it isn't about fear. It's
Right.
about wisdom.
Okay, next up, we have the sage being described as grave like a guest. What is Laozi getting at here?
It's about humility and respect.
Okay.
Think about it. When you're a guest in someone's home, you're mindful of their space.
Right.
You're respectful of their customs.
Yes.
The sage moves through the world with that same kind of awareness, always acknowledging that they're part of something larger than themselves.
It's like they're always aware of the interconnectedness of everything.
Yes.
Then we get these seemingly contradictory descriptions.
Oh, yeah.
Evanescent, like ice that is melting away, and yet also unpretentious, like wood that has not been fashioned into anything.
Right.
How do those two things go together?
Well, they speak to the paradox of the sage's being.
Okay.
On one hand, they're incredibly adaptable, flowing with the changes of life like melting ice.
Yeah.
On the other hand, they have this solid, unassuming core,
Right.
like uncarved wood.
It's that blend of flexibility and inner strength
Yes.
that allows them to navigate the world so effectively.
Since-
They're not trying to force things. They're working with the natural flow.
Yeah, going with the flow.
And then we get to the vacant like a valley and dull, like muddy water line. This one always throws me for a loop.
So these metaphors are all about emptiness and receptivity.
Oh.
A valley is open and able to receive whatever flows into it.
Right.
And muddy water, while seemingly unclear, has the potential to become clear if we just let it settle.
So it's not about being empty in a negative sense,
Right.
but rather about creating space for things to unfold naturally.
Exactly. And Laozi takes it a step further.
Okay.
The question, who can make muddy water clear by being still? It's a beautiful analogy for how we can find clarity in our own lives.
Sometimes how your mind is just like a jumble of thoughts and emotions.
Absolutely.
The Taoists would say that's like muddy water.
It is.
And the key is not to stir it up more,
Right.
but to be still, let things settle,
Yeah.
and clarity will emerge.
Clarity will
And that leads us to the final line of this section.
Okay.
Those who follow the Tao do not wish to be full. So it's not about denying yourself things, but about recognizing that true fulfillment doesn't come from constantly chasing after more.
It's about understanding that true strength lies in emptiness, in being open and receptive rather than trying to grasp and control.
I love that.
Yeah,
It's like a reminder that sometimes the most powerful thing we can do is simply let go.
absolutely.
Now, I'm really curious to hear what Tao Master Chu Meng Fu has to say about all this.
Yes.
His teachings always seem to add such a practical, down-to-earth perspective
Yes, they do. He does indeed.
to these ancient ideas.
Chu Meng Fu brings a modern lens to these ancient concepts, making them even more relevant for our lives today.
Right.
He particularly emphasizes the importance of cultivating stillness in the midst of chaos.
Let's dive into that in part 2.
Sounds good. Chu Meng Fu, he really nails it. When he talks about finding yin in the middle of chaos, like that quiet eye of the hurricane, place of peace within the storm.
So it's not about being passive or ignoring what's going on around us.
No, not at all.
But about cultivating that inner stillness that allows us to respond to challenges.
Right.
With clarity and wisdom.
Exactly. And, this concept of finding stillness amidst the chaos, it's not just a Taoist idea.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. It echoes throughout, various philosophical and spiritual traditions.
I'd love to hear about that.
Yeah.
It's always fascinating to see how these seemingly different schools of thought actually connect on a deeper level.
For example, in Buddhism, the concept of mindfulness.
Right.
It's very similar. It's about observing your thoughts and feelings without judgment. Finding that space of stillness within the chatter of your mind.
So it's like hitting pause.
Yes.
On the mental whirlwind.
Exactly.
And allowing yourself to simply be present with whatever arises.
Yes.
I can see how that would be incredibly helpful in dealing with stress and anxiety.
Yeah, absolutely. And even in Western philosophy, you see similar ideas.
Yeah.
The Stoics, they emphasize the importance of accepting what we can't control and focusing on what we can. That kind of inner detachment can lead to a profound sense of peace.
Right.
Even in the face of adversity.
It's like recognizing that there's a difference between responding to a situation and reacting to it.
Absolutely.
When we react, we're often driven by fear or anger.
Right.
But when we respond from a place of stillness, we can make choices that are more aligned with our values.
I think that's a great point, and this brings us to another interesting connection.
Okay.
Chu Meng Fu's emphasis on simplicity and avoiding excess.
Right.
He talks about how true strength comes from a place of not needing to be full.
Right, it's that idea we touched on earlier about those who follow the Tao don't desire to constantly fill themselves up with things.
Yes.
Achievements or even knowledge.
This resonates with the concept of wu wei, which is often translated as non-action or effortless action.
Right.
And it's not about being passive, but about aligning yourself with the natural flow of the Tao.
Right.
Letting go of that constant striving.
Yeah.
And allowing things to unfold organically.
It makes me think of the modern minimalist movement where people are simplifying their lives.
Yeah.
Letting go of clutter and focusing on what truly matters.
Absolutely. Minimalism is a great example of how these ancient Taoist principles can be applied in a modern context.
Yeah.
It's about recognizing that true happiness and fulfillment don't come from accumulating more stuff,
Right.
but from cultivating inner peace and contentment.
It's about shifting our focus from external validation to internal satisfaction.
Yes.
It's about finding that sweet spot of enough.
I love that.
Now, one of the things that really struck me about Chu Meng Fu's lecture
Yes.
was his statement that finding the Tao in the midst of a bustling city
Right.
is a greater challenge.
Yeah.
And therefore, a more potent form of practice.
That's such an important point, especially for those of us who don't live in secluded mountain retreats, right? It's a reminder that we don't need to escape the world to find peace and wisdom. It's in the midst of our everyday lives,
Right.
with all its noise and distractions,
Yeah.
that our practice becomes most meaningful.
It's like a call to action, urging us to find those pockets of stillness.
Right.
Those moments of connection, even within the whirlwind of our daily routines.
Yeah, I mean, let's be real.
Yeah.
Most of us aren't going to be meditating in a cave anytime soon.
Right, exactly.
But we can find ways to integrate these principles into our modern lives.
Absolutely.
It might be taking 5 minutes to simply breathe and observe our thoughts.
Yeah.
Or choosing to respond to a stressful situation with calmness rather than reactivity.
It's about those small conscious choices
Yes.
that help us align ourselves with the Tao, even in the midst of a traffic jam or a crowded subway car.
Yeah. It's about remembering that peace isn't a destination. It's a practice.
And speaking of practice, one of the most powerful ways to cultivate this inner stillness is through meditation.
Yes, absolutely.
Now, I know meditation can seem intimidating to some people,
I know, right?
but it doesn't have to be complicated.
No, not at all.
Even just a few minutes a day could make a difference.
Absolutely.
And for those of us who are new to meditation,
Yeah.
what's the best way to get started?
There are so many resources available these days.
Yeah.
Guided meditation apps, online courses, local meditation groups.
Right.
Find what resonates with you and start small.
Right.
Even just 5 minutes a day can be transformative.
Okay, so meditation's a great starting point.
Yes.
What else can we do?
Well, another powerful practice is simply becoming more mindful throughout the day.
Okay.
Paying attention to your breath, noticing the sensations in your body, observing your thoughts and emotions without judgment.
Right.
It's about bringing that quality of presence into every moment, rather than constantly dwelling on the past or worrying about the future.
It's like hitting the pause button on autopilot
Yes,
and really tuning in to what's happening right here, right now.
exactly.
Yeah.
And as you become more mindful, you might notice that you start to make different choices.
Uh-huh.
You might find yourself letting go of unnecessary possessions,
Oh, yeah.
simplifying your schedule,
Yeah.
or setting boundaries in relationships that drain your energy.
It's like that minimalist principle we talked about.
Exactly.
It's not about deprivation.
That's not.
It's about consciously choosing what truly matters and letting go of the rest.
And that sense of freedom and spaciousness can be incredibly liberating.
Yeah.
It allows us to focus our energy on what truly nourishes our souls,
Right.
whether that's spending time in nature, connecting with loved ones,
Yes.
or pursuing creative passions.
So it's not just about what we do.
Right.
It's about how we do it.
Yes.
It's about bringing that quality of stillness and awareness
Yeah.
into every aspect of our lives.
And, as we cultivate these qualities within ourselves,
Yeah.
we naturally start to radiate them outwards. Our calmness can soothe others.
Yeah.
Our kindness can inspire others.
I like that.
Our peace can create ripples of peace in the world around us.
It's like that Gandhi quote, be the change you wish to see in the world.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's not about waiting for someone else to create a better world.
Right.
It's about recognizing that we each have the power to make a difference, starting with our own inner transformation.
And as we embrace this path of stillness,
Yes.
we start to tap into a different kind of power.
Yes.
It's not the power of force or domination,
Yeah.
but the power of wisdom, compassion, and interconnectedness.
It's the power that arises when we align ourselves with the natural flow of the Tao, allowing ourselves to be guided by a deeper wisdom than our own limited ego.
And that's a truly empowering thought.
It is.
It reminds us that even in the midst of chaos and uncertainty, we can find peace, purpose, and a deep sense of connection to something greater than ourselves.
So as we wrap up this part of our deep dive,
Okay.
I invite you to reflect on how you might integrate these principles into your own life.
Yeah.
It's a journey, not a destination.
Right.
And even small steps can make a big difference.
What stood out to you most from our exploration of the Tao of stillness?
Yeah, what resonated with you on a personal level?
And what's one small step you can take today to bring more of that stillness,
Yeah.
simplicity, or humility into your life?
Remember, the path of the sage is a path of continuous learning and growth.
Right.
It's about cultivating our inner landscape so that we can navigate the outer world with grace, wisdom, and compassion.
Now that's a call to action I can get behind.
I think so too.
But for now, let's take a short break, and we'll come back for part 3, where we'll explore how to put all this wisdom into action. Okay, so we've really unpacked chapter 15.
Yeah.
Explored Shu Fu's teachings, and even touched on these connections to Buddhism,
Right.
Stoicism, and minimalism.
Yeah.
It's amazing how these ancient ideas
I know.
still resonate so strongly today.
It really speaks to the timeless wisdom of these traditions.
Right?
They offer insights into the human condition that transcend cultural boundaries
Yeah.
and historical periods.
But how do we actually put all this wisdom into action?
Right?
It's one thing to talk about stillness and simplicity,
Yeah.
but it's another thing to actually live it,
Right.
Especially in our modern world.
Absolutely. You're absolutely right. It's
Yeah.
a practice, not a destination.
Okay.
And it starts with small, intentional choices
Uh-huh.
that gradually shift our mindset and our way of being in the world.
So what are some concrete steps we can take
Yeah.
to cultivate more stillness, simplicity, and humility?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, one of the most powerful practices, as we mentioned earlier, is meditation.
Right.
Even just a few minutes each day can make a huge difference.
Yeah.
It's like creating a mental sanctuary
Okay.
where you can step back from the chaos of the world and connect with your inner stillness.
And for those of us who are new to meditation,
Mm-hmm.
what's the best way to get started?
There are so many resources available these days.
Yeah.
Guided meditation apps, online courses, local meditation groups.
Right.
You know, find what resonates with you and start small.
Yeah.
Even just 5 minutes a day can be transformative.
Okay, so meditation is a great starting point.
Yes.
What else can we do?
Well, another powerful practice is simply becoming more mindful throughout the day.
Okay.
You know, paying attention to your breath,
Yeah.
noticing the sensations in your body,
Okay.
observing your thoughts and emotions without judgment. You know, it's about bringing that quality of presence into every moment
Yeah.
rather than constantly dwelling on the past or
Sure.
worrying about the future.
It's like hitting the pause button on autopilot
Exactly.
and really tuning into what's happening right here, right now.
Yes, and as you become more mindful, you might notice that you start to make different choices.
Okay.
You might find yourself letting go of unnecessary possessions, simplifying your schedule, or setting boundaries in relationships that drain your energy.
It's like that minimalist principle we talked about.
Right, exactly.
You know, it's not about deprivation.
Yeah.
It's about consciously choosing what truly matters.
Yes.
And letting go of the rest.
And that sense of freedom and spaciousness can be incredibly liberating.
Absolutely.
It allows us to focus our energy on what truly nourishes our souls.
Right.
Whether that's spending time in nature, connecting with loved ones, or pursuing creative passions.
So it's not just about what we do.
Right.
It's about how we do it.
It is.
It's about bringing that quality of stillness and awareness
Yeah.
into every aspect of our lives.
And, you know, as we cultivate these qualities within ourselves, we naturally start to radiate them outwards.
Right.
Our calmness can soothe others. Our kindness can inspire others.
That's good.
Our peace can create ripples of peace in the world around us.
Yeah, it's like that Gandhi quote, be the change you wish to see in the world.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's
Yeah.
not about waiting for someone else to create a better world.
Right.
It's about recognizing that we each have the power to make a difference,
Yeah.
starting with our own inner transformation.
And as we embrace this path of stillness,
Yes,
we start to tap into a different kind of power.
I agree.
You know, it's not the power of force or domination,
No.
but the power of wisdom,
Uh-huh.
compassion, and interconnectedness.
It's the power that arises when we align ourselves with the natural flow of the Tao,
Right.
allowing ourselves to be guided by a deeper wisdom than our own limited ego.
And that's a truly empowering thought.
It is.
It reminds us that even in the midst of chaos and uncertainty, we can find peace, purpose, and a deep sense of connection
Yes.
to something greater than ourselves.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, I invite you to reflect on how you might integrate these principles into your own life.
Right.
It's a journey, not a destination.
Okay.
And even small steps can make a big difference.
What stood out to you most from our exploration of the Tao of Stillness?
Yeah, what resonated with you on a personal level?
What's one small step you can take today
Yeah.
to bring more of that stillness, simplicity, or humility into your life?
Remember, the path of the sage is a path of continuous learning and growth.
Absolutely.
It's about cultivating our inner landscape
Right.
so that we can navigate the outer world with grace, wisdom, and compassion.
Thank you for joining us on this deep dive.
It was a pleasure.
May you find peace, clarity, and inspiration on your own unique path.